Jordan's foreign minister makes a surprise visit to Ramallah to speak with Palestinian officials as the date for Israel to annex parts of the West Bank draws closer. The easing of coronavirus restrictions in Israel is now halted amid a spike in infections, with authorities looking to flatten the curve. And explosive claims from Donald Trump's former security advisor John Bolton making waves as he reveals that Trump sought help from China to win re-election. Hello, I'm Sarah Coates. Thanks for joining me. Well, a surprise visit happening right now with the Jordanian foreign minister arriving in Ramallah to discuss Israel's controversial annexation plans, with Jordan continuing to voice its strong opposition, calling it unacceptable. King Abdullah II is pressing the US Congress to step in, telling senators that the establishment of a Palestinian state is of high importance to Jordan. The King also speaking with Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, who's come out to say that he's assured Abdullah of the UAE's categorical rejection of the annexation plan, tweeting, "We are working with our Arab brethren and the international community against this illegal move." Now, the annexation move is set to begin on July 1st with the Trump administration's so-called peace plan, stating that Israel can annex up to 30% of the West Bank. And for more on this story, let's bring in our Middle East correspondent, Emily Rose. Emily, thanks for joining me once again. We only just found this news out in the last 15 minutes or so about the Jordanian foreign minister touching down, or arriving rather, in Ramallah. How can you expect this to play out? What will he be saying to these Palestinian officials?
It seems as though the goal of this meeting is to deliver a letter from Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas all the way to King Abdullah. And it just shows the importance here that Jordan really has a stake in the future of Israel's plans, whether they be to annex parts of the West Bank or fully. These are top-of-mind issues for the Jordanian king. Let's not forget that 60% of his population abouts is of Palestinian descent. He could face a lot of backlash on the streets, and he also feels that he needs to make a clear statement that he is opposing annexation, both, as you mentioned, among American officials and when it comes to Palestinian officials. So this is a clear sign, if anything, that Jordan really has a lot to gain and a lot to lose in all of the future proceedings that will come through with these decisions by Israel to annex or not annex parts of the West Bank.
And he's not the only one that's been in Ramallah or in Ramallah. You were there yesterday, Emily, speaking to Palestinian officials with this annexation plan drawing really close, just around 12 days now. What are they telling you?
Yes, Sarah, one of the issues here, and all eyes will likely be on the Palestinian Authority to see how it's going to respond if Israel does go through with those plans to annex parts of the West Bank. So I sat down with Dr. Nabil Shath. He's the senior advisor to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas on foreign affairs. And I asked him, what diplomatic tools does the Palestinian Authority really have in its tool shed now to use, to play, if Israel does go through with those moves? Take a listen to a little bit of that conversation.
We will not leave any country that is willing to come to our support. Not only United Nations resolutions and European Union resolutions, but country by country. And there seems to be some good response to us from France, from Germany, even from Britain. And there are, of course, the good responses from Russia and China. Good oral responses from the Arab world, but we would like a little bit more from the Arab world, particularly at this difficult time of the corona and the post-corona economy, in which we really need financial support.
So as you can see, there's this tactic here to try to lobby a lot of these European countries to perhaps take punitive measures against Israel. Now, it's unclear exactly what those measures would be, and a lot of these European countries have so far refrained from making any statements of those particular actions. Would it be sanctions? Would it be certain other financial punitive measures? It looks as though they're shying away and waiting to see if Israel will actually act and how much success the Palestinian Authority is actually having in lobbying these European countries.
Well, certainly a huge amount of opposition to this plan. Emily Rose, thank you. Now to the latest coronavirus figures, with the death toll here in Israel stable over the last 24 hours, sitting at 303 fatalities with 257 fresh infections. Now, this as cabinet ministers have approved the resumption of train operations set to begin next Monday. Cultural venues also allowed to open their doors, but numbers will be capped. Amit Harari has more.
Israel continues to lift restrictions despite a spike in COVID-19 infections, with nearly 300 cases detected in 24 hours. The special ministerial committee set up to deal with the pandemic approved the operation of Israel railway services starting Monday, but only with a 75% occupancy limit. Passengers will be required to book tickets 48 hours in advance with vouchers. Each passenger will have a marked seat, sticking to social distance measures. The government has also approved allowing cultural events this weekend with a limit of up to 250 participants. This comes after multiple protests. Israel Cultural Minister warned that if no solution would be found to the world of entertainment, it would collapse, and is pushing to raise the number of participants to 500.
We were thrilled to hear that we can finally reopen the Khan Theater in Jerusalem after more than 3 months that we haven't worked here. The staff people and the actors are very excited to be back on stage, and we can only hope that the audience would come as they used to.
However, the IDF Intelligence Department warns that the number of cases in recent weeks may be higher than estimated. It recommended the government to reconsider the planned relief. The ministerial committee decided to possibly close one neighborhood in Ararai, northern Israel, 2 neighborhoods in the Bedouin town of Rahat in the south, and the Ajami quarter in Jaffa, due to an increase in infections in these locations. And Finance Minister Israel Katz gave an interview to all 3 Israeli channels to reassure the public that the economy will get back on track.
We're not going to burden the public. We want to make it easy on them. There were over 1 million unemployed. I looked them in the eye, whether it was a worker in southern Tel Aviv or someone working for a large company. We want to get them back. I estimate that we are in a positive trend. My estimates are that they will return to work. We want to restart the economy, even though in terms of metrics, it will get worse.
A much-needed return to routine, despite the uncertainty ahead.
Let's now go live to the streets of Jaffa, where our correspondent Jonathan Regev is standing by for us. Jonathan, tell me, you're in one of these red zones that authorities have mapped out now. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing pretty much what you would see here on any other day, Sarah. Yes, this is the Yefet Street in the middle of the Ajami quarter of Jaffa. Traffic, as you can see behind me, is just as normal, just as it would be on any other given day, corona or not. Therefore, if this is a red area, it is not felt here. People are walking on the street, most of them wearing masks, but not all of them, should be said. And therefore, if there's any plan regarding the closure of this specific neighborhood, we're not seeing it at the moment.
And Jonathan, we know that there's some trouble within the IDF with a number of generals now in quarantine. How concerning is this for the military?
It is, of course, concerning because we're speaking of 3 major generals that are currently quarantined at home. They have been in the vicinity of people that have been diagnosed with corona, usually in meetings where eventually one of the people participating in those meetings turned out to be positive for the virus. All of those major generals, 3 of them at the moment, are at home, and they will stay there quarantined at least until they take a coronavirus test to find out if they're positive or negative.
All right, Jonathan Regev there. Thank you so much for your updates throughout the day. And we're going out for a short break, but when we come back, shocking claims from Trump's former security advisor gaining plenty of traction, with Bolton saying that Trump sought the help from China to win re-election. We'll bring you all the details right after this. Stay with us.